have always had someone to share the news with, someone who understands the power of friendship or family in the context it is given and received. We light a candle knowing that Christmas will mean different things to different people, but for this moment, it serves to remind us that whatever race, creed, or religion we derive from, we choose to be with people who share our values. Let us be grateful for the friends we have and those we are yet to meet. Let's send love and healing light to those who are hospitalized or unwell, and let us acknowledge and thank those who serve us, and remember in prayer those who we serve as Rotarians. Amen. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the four-way test, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendship? Will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you. You can have a seat. Do I have any happy dollars? All right. That makes it easy. Oh, Glenn's got one.
I got to go to Cynthia's house. It was awesome. Thank you so much. I don't really go to the Christmas party or anything. That was one I committed. It's just a lot of fun. And to tolerate all of us in your house. Just want to say thank you.
I will second that. If there is a better party venue in this city, I don't know where it is.
Yes. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy Old Year.
Happy Old Year. Thank you. Okay. Any other happy dollars before we move on? I don't think we have a song today, so we're going to move on from that. Our songmeister is home now with his wife. She got back. She's out of the hospital now. She had surgery on her heart, and she's at home now. So I'm sure he's tending to her, which is where he should be. We have some guests here today. Besides our speaker, we have our beautiful girls from Italy and Brazil, Maria and Serena. Thank you for being here. And we have, we have back here Roman Bennett. And Roman is Pat Smith's brother. So many of you know Pat Smith. And what makes him Kenny Bob's brother-in-law. So there you go. Thank you for coming. And I hope you get a chance to stop by and introduce yourself if you haven't already. He's interested in membership, and we'd love to have him. And over here is someone familiar, is Bob Meadows, who spoke at our Rotary Club maybe a couple years ago. And he has ridden, he's looking at the weather report he told me today to see if he can get on his bike and go. Because he has ridden his bicycle from coast to coast, and he had a whole presentation on the setup, and it was amazing. So, welcome. And we'll get to our speaker in a little bit. Do I have any other guests? I don't think so. All right. All right, Rotoball. Somebody brought it up here, so we're going to have someone, or usually somebody real close, but I'll pick on you. Spin it. I have to spin it. Where's my
Terry Pansino.
The door was shut.
Cynthia.
It says me, Shorty.
All right.
Shorty.
All right.
$5. Very good. Thank you, Freddie. Okay, Rotarball. This is not on the agenda, but I want to remind you that this is pretty much this is our last meeting of the year, and it's our last call out for donations. If you get one tax deductible, if you know somebody who has a business or something and looking for a tax break, the amphitheater still needs money. We're at about 400,000. We hope to get to 425 and ice it. Say we're done. So keep that in mind.
Jim,
Yes.
also, if you have a donation to give to Rotary, before January 1st, you will get put into a drawing for a Paul Harris Fellow.
Very
So
good.
Even $20. So if you haven't done it for our club, $20, you get it put into a drawing.
And you could just do that online. Go onto the My Rotary and go to donations and boom.
And if you don't have a My Rotary, you don't have it set up, just go to My Rotary and it'll pull up, and then just pull up your name, and you can fill out a picture. You put a picture in there, and you can look down and make sure address and everything is correct, so it's current for us.
Okay.
Oh,
Bill?
add this real quickly. Maria is moving after this meeting to Dr. Asino and his family. So, and that'll last till near the end of January, right there. Yep, okay.
Very good.
Good. And they've only got 2 more days of school this year. They start back in on, excuse me, the Monday after New Year's.
Okay, thank you. All right. A little while back, Dr. Pansino asked if he could share a story that happened 29 years ago. Now, this could be at high risk request. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. Dr. Pansino, come on up.
Well, I'm not sure what the risk is, other than those of you who are Browns fans might not like a couple things. But anyway, start out Mele Kaliki Maka. My family and I were just in Hawaii for, was it 11 nights? Spent 3 nights on the Big Island and then 8 nights on Maui. We hope to see Kilauea erupt while we were there. It erupts intermittently. They call them episodes. And we were staying about a half hour away and drove over on Saturday, and it was smoking, but there was no eruption. When you have an eruption, if any of you haven't seen it, there are 2 vents and the lava comes out. It can reach 1,000 feet. So obviously that's pretty spectacular. And but it wasn't doing that when we were there. And on the 6th, we transferred from the Big Island to Maui. And while we were sitting in the airport at Kona, nowadays with the internet and a cell phone, if you can't find it, it's not worth knowing about. And they have cameras set up to monitor this, and we looked on and the eruption was going. Potentially, it's they call them episodes. Episode 38 was the biggest of all. It blew out one of the cameras. I think it blew out one of the vents too. We missed it. Oh well, guess we weren't supposed to be there. Anyway, I asked to talk about it, something that happened to me. As many of you know, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in the 60s and 70s. That was a great time to be there. In addition to Christmas, some great memories in December. Next Tuesday is the Feast of the Immaculate Reception. Franco Harris caught a deflected pass.
Yeah, right.
If you can find a video that shows he didn't, then you send it to me. Because right now, all the stuff on the internet shows it was a legit play. And certainly that taught all of us, or should have taught all of us, certainly taught me, you never give up, because you never know. You never know when the circumstances are going to turn in your favor. And I can't think of anything I faced that was a more difficult thing to have come together than what Franco Harris pulled off. And actually, the 3 biggest days in Steeler history are coming up, the Immaculate Reception being one of them. And they collectively provided me with additional inspiration about how to succeed myself, what I needed to do, really what success looked like. January 12th of 1975, they won the Super Bowl the first time. And I got to see what the look of everyone in the locker room had. Made me want to get to the top of my own mountain too, and have that. And anyway, I never expected to have another episode in my life that matched that, let alone exceeded. But I did, and it's a long story. It starts in probably the spring of 1975. I was a senior. I was in calculus. There's a young lady named Barbara. Barbara asked me to tutor her. I tried. I don't know how effective I was. I guess the biggest thing I remember is doing integral calculus. There were patterns to it, and you kind of had to recognize the pattern. And then from that pattern, you could come up with an answer. And she would say, well, how do you see that? And I just really couldn't explain that to her. Sometimes it was like we were 2 people separated by a common language or something. Anyway, she went to Pitt. She became a pharmacist. I went to Wittenberg, was a biology and then also a chemistry major. And so we wrote, tried to stay connected, but back then you didn't have all the options you have now with texting and cell phones and whatnot. So I think we kind of lost track of each other. And in January of 1985, I got married, and our wedding announcement must have been in the local paper. And so sometime after that, I got a letter from North Carolina, and to the best of my knowledge, knew no one in North Carolina. And opened it up, and it was from Barbara. And so I was certainly pleased to get that. And so we wrote back and forth, not often, maybe a couple of times a year. And things were great until the fall of 1995 was our 20th class reunion, and it was held on the Gateway Party Liner in Pittsburgh. And I went, and I was hoping to see lots of people from my high school class, but saw her, and or didn't see her, and found out she was having major surgery. She had breast cancer, and her mom had died at 44. Anyway, we connected by telephone then, and eventually, the next year, she told me about having a spot on her chest x-ray, and I was sure or I wondered if she had a recurrence and she'd already gone through treatment. And so if she had a recurrence, I knew that was going to be difficult for her. And so I went and visited her, and she was living outside of Washington, D.C. And I knew if I didn't go visit her and she died, that would haunt me forever. And we all carry around enough things that we wish hadn't gone that way. And so I tried to look like a UPS guy, but she recognized me somehow. And we spent a great evening. I mean, I had my hat pulled down like this. But anyway, the thing peaked a couple months later in early December. I was in the office and was working, and I noticed my wife had a prescription pad holder, and I didn't have one. And I wanted one. And I thought, gee, it's Christmas. I should ask for a prescription pad holder. But I didn't ever say anything to anybody. But I came home a few nights later, and there was a box on my front porch. And so I picked up the box, and Barbara's name was on it. I said, wow, that's really nice of her. I wonder what she got me. Sorry. I went inside, opened the box, and pulled out the leather prescription pad holder I wanted. How does someone who can't possibly know what you want buy it for you? And I wondered about that, but I thought about it, and I remembered back to a conversation in the spring of that year, and I was wondering if she just didn't realize what she was up against with her breast cancer. And I don't know, I asked some sort of a question, but she shared her faith with me. And I put, I guess, 2 and 2 together, realized that that was probably because I was dense and didn't get it at the time. God had to have her do something so far over the top. So I tell people, if you remember the TV series Touched by an Angel, I was touched by an angel. And I hope some of you have been touched that way too. But I have to say, I've never met anybody, I've told this story, I've never met anybody who says, oh yeah, the same thing happened to me. I realized there must be a God. He must love me despite all my shortcomings. So anyway, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Doctor. That was well worth the effort. We have a speaker today. His name is Jim Smith. And before you ask him to be a member, I already have. He's got an application in hand. But he's here to talk about electric vehicles, and he's got a lot of information. And let's welcome Jim Smith to the podium.
Hey folks, thanks for the invite. My wife Sandy and I have lived in Louisville for 38 years, and I recently retired from HP Products. So I was an engineer at HP for 31 years and loved it quite a bit. So my wife Sandy and I have 2 EVs at home. And I'm just going to share some of the things that we found out about EVs and learned about them. Because there really is very little information. Thank you. Okay, so there we go. 2. Can you see Eva? All right. This is a picture of my wife, Sandy, in her first EV in 2019. So my wife hasn't been to a gas station in almost 7 years now. And I asked her if she ever misses that. She said, no way. But when we talk about the EV story, it really boils down to just a couple of simple things, like the simplicity, how sophisticated they are, the safety, and then the environmental issues involved. So when I think of simplicity, as an engineer, I love things that are simple, okay? And this is the first thing that attracted me to EVs. So when I realized they don't have a transmission and you don't need keys for your car anymore, you don't have a starter, there's no fuel filters, no oil filters, no radiators, you know, the maintenance on an EV is windshield washer fluid and tires, okay? So how many people have had, the check engine light that comes on in your car? Anybody have that? I mean, I think a lot of people have. And then the fix for it is what? You put electrical tape over the dash so you can't see it, right? That's the fix for it. So, but think about exhaust systems. You don't have an exhaust system. All these things that you don't have. And then so as I sat down and pondered all this stuff, I thought, well, how did gas-powered cars get to be so complicated in the first place? And it's because when you burn a hydrocarbon fuel like diesel or gasoline, 2/3 of the energy in there's a lot of energy in a gallon of gas, but 2/3 of it turns into heat and light, neither of which will drive your car anywhere. So now you have all this extra heat that hurts your car engine, and you have to figure out, what am I going to do with it? And so you have to add a cooling system and water pumps and radiators and coolant and all those things. And then when you explode gasoline inside of a engine block, guess what? It's loud, right? These are explosions going on inside of there. So now you need a muffler. And this combustion, it's not like burning a candle. There's a lot of poisonous fumes that come out of that as well. So now you need a catalytic converter in there. So it just keeps stacking up and stacking up. And so it's really surprisingly complicated. So, and this is just a quick chart that shows you the efficiency of a gas car versus an electric car. And if you look at like the thickness of this line is 100% of the fuel, what comes out the end is what's left. And it's only about 20% efficient for a gas car, where an electric car is about 90% efficient. So there's a big difference in efficiency. And that's really the key to the simplicity of an electric car. I want to talk about how sophisticated these cars are. I talked with Eva a little bit before the meeting, and she talked about, you know, your electric car, you can summon your electric car. You know, if it's raining out, you can pull out your phone and your car will come out and pull in front of you and pick you up, you know. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know. So these cars have cameras mounted all around the vehicle. And so this helps your car drive itself. Okay, these cameras will let your car drive by itself, and because they're surrounding you, they see all around the car all the time, and they never daydream. So one of the things that's a hidden that you'll never hear in the media is that this automated driving, is way more advanced than anybody realizes. It is so advanced, it's almost unbelievable. So I've asked a friend to join me here today named Ramsey, and he brought his Cybertruck. We have 3 electric vehicles out in the parking lot. So if you've never been in an electric vehicle before, and I don't know if that's true of probably most people, but we've got vehicles that you can sit inside, check them out, and then we're going to give.
Give one away?
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna give automated drives. So if you have enough courage, we're gonna drive down to the. Well, not everybody does, you know. Now Bob Meadows has gone in there and done it. In fact, Bob's actually sat behind the wheel of an automated Tesla and let it drive. What was your feeling, Bob, from that?
Oh, it's pretty neat. It's a much better driver than I am.
Yeah. So if you go for a short drive, you're going to find very quickly that it's not scary. But it'll blow your mind the first time you go through it, because your car is pulling up to a stop sign or intersection, and it starts slowing down by itself, and it puts on the turn signal. Then the wheel starts to spin, and you make a right-hand turn. It knows to turn on red. It knows to, if you're on the highway, it knows to, if somebody's merging on, it knows to be polite and shift over one lane and make room for this car coming on. So it's very, very sophisticated. So, and then your car gets better with time, because you park your car in your garage and you can refuel in your garage just by plugging in. And we'll take a look at a short video on what that looks like here in just a second. Then your car, if you have Wi-Fi in your home, your car gets updates. So you'll get a text from Tesla or Rivian that says, hey, today your car is 5% faster than it was yesterday, you know. Or you'll get these updates that say, hey, we've added some fun features, like now there's photo booth, you know, where if you're in the car with your friends, and you'll use that camera by the mirror and snap a picture and display it on that big screen in the front. So it does all these crazy things. You get all these updates for free, and there's a lot of them. So I think last year we got 23 updates. Entertainment options on your car, you know, so you can watch YouTube on your car. You can watch, not while you're driving, of course, but if you're waiting for somebody, you know, you can watch Netflix, go to all kinds of places and everything. Yeah, so it's really pretty amazing. One pedal driving. One of the things my wife loves is that she set up a schedule so that even though we park in the garage in the wintertime, it's still cold. So 15 minutes before she gets in, the car knows to turn itself on and heat up for her and turn on the heated seats. And she gets in there, and it's like, she loves that. She is spoiled. I know she's spoiled. I'm going to tell her. I won't tell her who said it, though. The Sentry mode is it uses your car uses these cameras that are all around it, and if somebody tries to break in your car, it turns on these cameras and starts recording all this. Okay, if somebody keys your car, man, you're going to walk in and you're going to get in your car, and it's going to tell you there was an event you should see, and you just click a button and there it is. If somebody smashes a window and reaches in to grab something, it uses the camera inside the cabin and snaps a picture of their face. You know. Oh, and cut them in half. Good job. I like that. That's a good suggestion. So these are just some of the things that you know, that you do. These cars are, it's amazing how sophisticated they are. Some of the other things, because there's no gas tank and the motors are very small compared to an engine, you know, what do they do with that space? I mean, that was one of the first things I asked was, what are you going to do with that? And so they make a little trunk in the front of your car. They call it the frunk. And in the back, there's extra storage space where a gas tank would normally be. But you can also use that other space. Like, so one of the accessories you can get for your car is a refrigerator that fits right down in that space where your gas tank used to be. So my wife has a refrigerator freezer in her car, and she uses it every time she goes shopping, because you go and you buy ice cream and pop and stuff like that, or drinks or whatever it is, yogurt, you know, she just puts it in there. She turns on the fridge when she's leaving for the grocery store. She fills it up, and then you don't have to run straight home because things are going to be melting. So this is just a screenshot. I actually took this picture with my phone of, you know, the Tesla Theater, you know, that you can watch Disney and Hulu and YouTube and all that stuff. So these are all options that you get with an EV. This is a picture of the refrigerator in Sandy's car. So you just lift up it. This is the back of the back of her hatchback, you know, and there's a cover for that, but you just lift that up and there's a refrigerator freezer. It'll go down to -8 degrees, but you know, if there's ice cream, then she sets it to 0, and if it's just drinks or milk or something, she sets it to, I think, 30 degrees. Geez, I can't even read this. Oh,
It's a website.
it's a website. Okay, so that's a link. So I don't think that we're going to be able to watch that.
It's hooked up to Wi-Fi, but it might be really slow because it's far Wi-Fi.
Okay, well that was a short video of the Tesla factory where the cars are coming off the assembly line, and they used to pay a driver to drive them to the big giant parking lot where they get loaded onto trucks. Well, today they drive themselves there, and they drive themselves by the thousands. So now this is a picture of my garage, as sad as that is. And this is my wife's car. But I just wanted to show when you recharge your car, this is all it takes. That's it. What is that, 10 seconds? You know, and then in the morning, you've got, you know, 250 or 300 miles of range. So it's so easy to do that a lot of people just plug them in every night when they get home. So
Plugging in, what do you have to have there?
all we have is a 240-volt outlet. Yeah. So the cable comes with the car. So you have a 240-volt outlet. That's all it takes. And then it takes about 6 hours to charge Sandy's car, and it takes about 10 hours to charge my truck. My truck battery is a lot bigger.
Question,
Yeah.
when you're on the road,
Yeah.
what does it cost if you're in Mount Gilead getting juice, all right?
Yeah.
What's it cost you to go on to Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, what is that, about 4 hours? Yeah, so I'd probably have to stop one time to get there, and it would probably cost about $12. Yeah. You know, at home, that car costs about maybe $5 to, you know, at home it's a lot cheaper.
Per day?
Well, I'm not per day, because I mean, if you're down to say 20% and you charge the 80% or something, it costs you about $5. You know, but this thing, the thought that goes into these is mind blowing, because they don't just, it doesn't start charging when you plug it in. It starts charging after 11 o'clock when the electric rates go down. Okay, so that's, I mean, it's really well thought out. Oh Jesus, we don't need to see that. You ever see a video of yourself and you go like, I had no idea I was that fat. So All right. This is just a fun, curious question. When is the last American car that was the best-selling car in the world?
67. Mid-60s.
The Ford Model T. 1925 was the last year it was in production. So it's a little over 100 years ago. So what's been so difficult? Why can't the Americans make a car that's a really popular world-selling car? But in 1923, the Tesla Model Y was the best-selling car in the world. And I was shocked to find out that the media never reported on that. I would think that's a big story. Like, not since the Model T has America had the world's best-selling car. And nobody, there was almost nothing.
You talking about in the world or in the United States?
In the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people in China. And India. And, you know, they're obviously gonna have a foreign car, not American.
Well, I mean, today they don't. I mean, today there's over 100 different car companies in China right now making cars. It's insane. You know, China is not the poor, backwards country that many of us envision that they are. They're not that way anymore. So they've got the world's largest navy now. They buy 50% of the world's cars right today. They have a larger middle class population than the entire United States now. So, but I thought it was interesting that, 100 years went by before we had another world favorite car. So,
Is there a Tesla dealer in China?
yeah, they're not really dealers, but they call them stores. So there's one up in Cleveland, and they don't call them dealerships because they're owned by Tesla. They're not a dealership is something that you or I could start. You know, we could say, hey, we're going to start a business, and it's going to sell cars. That's a dealership. The Tesla is just a store. It's like a place where you can go to test drive them or to look at them. So
when you buy it, do they just ship it to you, send it to you, or does it just drive to you?
Well, great question. Okay, so if you buy a car, they will ship it to you if you want. You can go up to Cleveland to pick it up. But when you buy a Tesla, you don't go there to buy a Tesla. You buy it online. So I talked with my brother who bought a truck recently, and he bought a Ram truck, and he traded in a car and stuff like that. I asked him, how long were you at the dealership? And he said 4 hours. He said he was exhausted. It was grueling back and forth kind of thing and everything like that. And I was like, wow. When we bought Sandy's car, we spent 10 minutes buying the car because everybody pays the same price. You know, there's no negotiating. You know, they will offer some incentives, but everybody gets the same deal. You know, yeah.
All right, I was a car dealer.
Okay.
My question, if I had a unit that came in damaged,
Yes.
it was repainted, the quarter panel,
Yes.
all right, I still had to sell it. I discounted it to sell it.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what everybody would expect.
Yeah.
What does Tesla do in that case?
Well, I don't know what they do for a damaged car like you're describing, but if you have a trade-in, they have it's on their website. It's a trade-in, and you type the VIN number in there, and so it looks to see, like with the what do they call that report that checks for accidents and stuff like that? Carfax. So it checks the Carfax report, and then it gives you an offer like in seconds.
You upload pictures of the trade-in.
Yes.
AI will look at those pictures and then.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing, and it's unbelievably fast. So I want to talk about safety right now. So the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety just came out with their list of the most safe trucks, pickup trucks and everything. And the Tesla Cybertruck was the most safe, and then followed by the Toyota Tundra and the Rivian R1T, which is the truck that I drive. And it's a pretty short list, and but safety has always been a strong point of electric vehicles. Okay, so this link here that you're going to see is a test where the NHTSA does a test where they roll over an SUV. So they take an SUV and they slide it sideways into a barrier that's like a curb. And then there's a big sand pit, and they count how many times your SUV rolls over, and then they have the dummies inside to see and everything. But the Model X was the first SUV they were not able to get to roll over, and so it kind of wrecked their test, you know. So now why would a Model X, why would that behave any differently from it's bottom heavy. The batteries are heavy, and they're in the floor of your car. So the center of gravity is really low, and so it tips up on two wheels and it comes back down, and they weren't able to get it to roll over. A lot of people have talked about car fires and things like that. And so now there's electric cars have been out for 10 years now. And so there's a lot of data on them, okay? And so, and there, of course, there's a lot of data on gas cars as well. And what you'll find if you look through the numbers, an electric car is only about 5% as likely to catch fire as a gas car. Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap up here.
When your vehicle's sitting, let's say you have a 300-mile range, and you pull in the parking lot at work, and you don't plug in. While it's sitting there, are you losing battery? No?
And even when you're driving, if you're in stop and go traffic and your car comes to a stop, and you're not idling, you're not using any kind of significant energy and that kind of thing. So, okay.
This is my phone battery sitting here. It's losing power as I sit here because it's on.
Because it's on. But when you look at the amount of energy it takes to drive a car and the size, so like a car battery is about, what I read, 20,000 times the size of your phone battery. I mean, they're enormous. So, okay, so there's 60. This is a quick talk about emissions. Okay, everybody talks about CO2 is bad for the environment, and it is. But I'm going to ask you to forget about CO2 and let's talk about CO, which is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is what we worry about in our homes. It's a deadly, invisible, odorless gas. And 5% of the exhaust in every car is carbon monoxide. Now you multiply that times 1.4 billion cars in the world, and that's an awful lot of carbon monoxide that's just flooding into our environment. So when you look at that, I made this little sketch here. That's our planet Earth. And it's 7,800 miles in diameter. But how much breathable air do we have on our planet? Well, it turns out it's only about 5 miles high, okay? So the Earth is 7,800 miles in diameter. The breathable air is only 5 miles high. And so that's this, you can't even see it because the circle there's a circle on the outside that represents the atmosphere of breathable air. And you can say like, well, Jim, that's exaggerating and that kind of thing. Well, let's look at a picture from NASA. Here's a picture from NASA of the Earth from the space station. That little skinny blue ring that wraps around the Earth is our breathable air. And that's it. So if you think about the earth as if it were an onion, our breathable air is like the skin on the outside of the onion. It's not much. And so we have to take good care of that. Most of us never think about this kind of thing. We just go about our daily lives and that kind of thing. So modern EV was invented in the United States. This will be my last slide. We'll wrap it up here. And how well does the U.S. embrace our invention compared to other countries? Okay, so if you look at Norway, 95% of the cars that they buy today are electric vehicles. So basically, every car sold in Norway is electric now. Denmark, 66%, Sweden, 60%, Finland, 56%, Iceland, all of Europe, you know. You get all the way down here, the United States, 10%. So of all the modern countries, now the good news is we're ahead of Japan. I think Japan's at 6%, but you know, when the president canceled the tax rebate for electric cars, you know, the selling of EVs has dropped substantially from there as well. So I would never, to conclude, I would never tell anybody how to spend their money. But if you're in the market for a new car, I would encourage people to go take a test drive in an EV, and you'll see it's pretty amazing. So thank you.
Very much.
Thanks.
If you have any questions, he'll be around for a few minutes. And now, like you said, there's some cars outside if you want to go
Yeah.
take a look.
Anybody wants to look at an EV? Oh, thank you. Or if you want to take a test drive.
What kind of car is your wife?
Oh, I got
Tesla
a
Model
draw.
Tesla?
Yeah.
That included Happy Dollars?
And,
Yeah, I gave you.
You mix the roto and a Happy Dollars together?
People love to see the refrigerator in the back of a car and stuff like that. But I would really encourage you, if you've never been in an EV before, come outside with us. We're gonna go for a little test drive just out to the fire station. You know, and we get a chance to see a car drive itself. Oh, that's a good question. So, I would say that people used to feel that EVs were just for rich people, and EV prices have been coming down a lot. You know, probably by $20,000. So now they're.
In your defense, I had the coolest thing happen. My friend has a Tesla X, which is a huge SUV.
Well, you're gonna see one out in the parking lot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, it's huge, it's big. And he had a 15-inch screen in it, horizontal.
Yep.
Right down low, and it was beautiful. And he put a fireplace on that thing. And I mean, you've seen the fireplace on YouTube. It was so cool in the car. Talk about relaxing.
So where are we with technology and increasing the mileage distance in the future? You know, for example, I drove over 200 miles today for my job already.
Yeah.
And my time frame, I have 2 minutes in between.
Yeah. So I
Something
would
like
tell
that,
you,
you can't.
yeah, I would tell you that you're probably not a good candidate for okay? But I would say that an EV is a good candidate for most people. Okay, most people aren't driving 200 miles a day and that kind of thing. But if I think most people, I think the average drive to work is, I can't remember, it's 15 miles or something like that. So you can go for, like with my wife's car, we plug it in about every 3 or 4 days. Okay, it's not everything. And plugging it in, you saw the video, it just takes literally seconds. You know, so. Where are they? I think the highest range electric car is a Lucid, and it has about 450 miles of range. You know,
How much is an X?
well, they're expensive. That's
70, 80, 90?
About 95.
95, okay.
Yeah.
I
But
just
what I would
want
tell
to-
people, like, so when you talk about, because I didn't get a chance to answer your question, so prices are between 37 and, I'm talking about most cars, okay, not the higher end ones, but for most cars that common people would buy, between 37 and 52,000. The average price, the average car transaction price today is $52,000. It's expensive.
Probably close.
Well, that's another good question. So, the resale value, because the price of new EVs has been coming down, the resale value has also come down a lot. And so, you know, and that hit us as well, because we had cars, we paid $52,000 for Sandy's car, and, you know, and then a couple years later, when we had grandkids and we needed to get a bigger car, you know, we didn't get much for it. We got $20,000 for it, you know. So, but as bad as that sounds, it's also an opportunity. So if you like to buy an EV, and you say, geez, I don't mind buying a car that's 1 or 2 years old, you're gonna be getting a car that's a bargain. I don't think the mileage on an EV is nearly as detrimental to a car as on a gas car, because there's so many fewer parts, so many fewer things that go wrong, so much less friction, wear, things like that, so.
There's cars in Europe and the US, there's Teslas that have 500,000 miles on them. There's a car in Europe, there's people that document on YouTube, he has 1 million miles on his car. Now he might have went through another battery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
drive 500,000 miles.
So. all right.
Last question. How much
Seen it happen a
batteries
bunch on views.
I think they cost today, they cost about $80,000.
I was a beauty. We used to see it
Spend,
like
but,
that a lot.
you know, the batteries are designed to last 30,000 miles. And most of them go a long time. So, who wants to go for a ride?